Michael Lacey and James Larkin built a newspaper empire.
Devoted to exposing corruption in politics and exposing things where business and government were colluding.
When the newspaper industry collapsed, they launched a new venture that inadvertently changed the sex work industry, turning them into villains in a new moral crusade.
Backpage.com is nothing more than a front for pimps and child sex traffickers.
There are more slaves in the world today than ever before in human history.
It is a crime that is rightly punishable by incarceration in prison.
This is about people creating careers, building names for themselves.
Piss in my mouth, but don't tell me it's raining. Criminalize the industry, throw us in jail, but don't tell me you're trying to save us and make it better.
It was a McCain production. You know, that committee is the progeny of the House Un-American Activities Committee, Joe McCarthy's committee in the 50s.
You know, growing up in New York City, we've had independent papers in our regular newspapers, Daily News, New York Post, New York Times, the Village Voice, and many other magazines. You also had some adult magazines like Screw Magazine, Penthouse, Playboy. You've had, gun right magazines like Soldier of Fortune and many others, athletic magazines. You have the whole gamut to the situation. And what you find in some of these places is like for example in the Village Voice, you go to the back pages of the Village Voice, you'll see ads for strip clubs, some massage parlors, adult stuff, some stuff hidden as being, prostitution. Yeah, there is something in there. There is some there. Yeah, it is illegal. But some of it isn't. You have people who strip for a living, who do private parties, lingerie parties. If you've never seen ever been to a lingerie party on there where people selling lingerie and they have sexy models to the situation, it's not like a stripper party or going to a strip joint, but these are also advertised on back pages of a lot of these newspapers and magazines. And yes, New York Post, Daily News, they've had these ads also as well, and many other magazines and newspapers throughout the country. If you're familiar with Backpage was a online site that advertised a lot of stuff. If someone was selling something, or there was something going on, particular information, and it was on this particular website. Now, it was shut down recently. Why? Well, they pushed it as a human trafficking page. Now, was it? The evidence wasn't really there. This was a website. This was an American website, which falls under Section 230 protection. It is a tool. Now, what people posted there, it wasn't to the point where you had people says, well, if you want to have a little sex, call me at this number. That's not how it worked. Because companies like Backpage monitor what is being posted. Everything is by code, and it's always going to happen. And that was the same thing in the Village Voice. Same thing in the New York Times and the Daily News and the New York Post. But they went after Backpage. And there was a mixed judgment to the situation. And right before the holiday, this article came out. Sex workers' rights groups condemn Backpage verdict. Two prominent sex workers' rights advocate group, the Erotic Service Providers Legal and Education and Research Project, or ESPLERP, and the Rhode Island chapter of Call Out Your Old Tired Ethics, which was Coyote RI, have issued a statement lambasting the verdict in the federal Backpage trial, calling for a full decriminalization of sex work. Now, before we go on, my thoughts on sex workers. Prostitution should be legalized. They're straight on. Treat them like courtesans. If you ever watch Firefly, the series, it should be toward in that direction on there. It should be legalized. It should be licensed. Like a car, should be, license should have an expiration date, but also the sex workers should have examinations in order to advance their licensing. After, say, a certain time period, they need to go see a doctor and, to be checked to make sure for any venereal diseases, AIDS, or anything to that nature. Now, people would say, like, well, the pimps will be taking over. No. There are places in the world where sex work has been decriminalized. Spain happens to be one of them, and Spain has been pushing back to remove that and go back to the old days. Now, if you ask most sex workers on the streets in Spain, in Madrid and all those, and you ask them and says, well, how, do you have a pimp or something like that? And they go like, no, we don't. We work our own. Some of them are working toward to getting a college degree to get out of the work to the situation, because it's sometimes very hard to find work. And stripping, prostituting, that's going to be to that situation. But like I said, there needs to be a better control of it. Reno has been, legal for many years, and not, there is no pimps there. It's a situation. You've heard of the what is it, the chicken ranch or whatever they call it, the rabbit ranch, whatever they call it on there. And it's worked for them many years. I mean, HBO had a whole, and I don't know why HBO still has removed it, but they had a whole documentary series about it and how it works to the situation. Reading on this, after 6 years and 2 trials, Michael Lacey, a founder of Backpage.com, was convicted on a single count of money laundering and acquitted on another. The statement read, an Arizona jury deadlocked on 84 and other counts against him in the case that allegedly he participated in a scheme to sell sex ads.
But prosecutors called witnesses who continued to focus on child sex trafficking and couldn't attest to the specific charges against the defendants. At one point, California's special agent Brian Fincher showed the jury ads from Backpage.
None of the ads actually said anything like, I will give you sex in exchange for money. So none of the ads actually contained the elements of the crime of prostitution in the state of California where they were posted. And in California, you can actually be a licensed escort. You can be a masseuse, you can give erotic massages, you can be a stripper, you can do, erotic performances. There are all sorts of legal forms of sex work. Not only was there no evidence that the defendants actually knew about these specific ads, but there was no evidence that illegal activity sprung from these ads.
E-Slurp Maxine Dugan called the prosecution of Backpage a textbook example of a false narrative. Dugan questioned the government's claim that Backpage adult sections encouraged human and or sex trafficking. It's all a sham, Dugan added. The owners of Backpage are not charged with trafficking. They are charged with profiting from prosecution. There isn't a federal law against prostitution, but they have invented a way to go after the money using obscured provisions of the Travel Act to apply to state-level criminal violations from Arizona that cross state lines. The group's statement alleges that the Department of Justice was under immense political pressure and determined to get Backpage. The sex workers' advocates also criticized the judge's ruling, barring them, the defense, from telling the jury about Section 230 protections, a decision based on the fact that Section 230 applies only to state, not federal crimes. This is a part of a widespread anti-sex work crackdown, said Bella Robinson of Coyote RI. In this case, there is a prosecutorial misconduct, 2 trials, multiple defendants, and sadly persecuting one of the defendants into despair and suicide. Yes, someone did die because of this. Claire and Wall opinioned that the case against Backpage.com rests entirely on the criminalization of sex work. If the sex work were decriminalized, as it is in multiple countries like New Zealand, there will be no case, just adults engaging in consensual commercial sex. Alwine said, that would allow sex workers who face harassment, assault, theft, trafficking, or other crimes to get the same justice as any other worker. It would also stop law enforcement arresting consensual sex workers and our clients. The group ended their statement with a battle cry: sex workers demand decriminalization. This is true. See, the thing about it is that a lot of these sex workers around the world that has been legalized have unionized. I'm surprised the main unions here in the United States haven't gone to push and promote this. Because basically, unionizing the sex workers gives the sex workers rights that they should be having. And health is part of that. Health insurance is part of that. Protecting the rights of men and women. Understand, men and women. See, the promotional on a lot of these cases are pushed because they say, well, we're protecting the women. But what about the guys? What about the guys that work in the sex workers, throughout the world as well? They do the same thing. The other half of this is the Section 230 and how the courts have just glossed over, and it says, well, because it's the federal, it doesn't. But it's the FCC who helped push, the Section 230 protections. They say that, well, it only applies to the state and not federal. You're bringing up crimes of this situation of what is being posted as a federal crime and not a state. Why? Because you think you can get away with violating the Constitution this way. Like I said, a lot of these ads are still in today's newspapers. If you get a chance, flip to the back page of your local paper. See if you find a stripper ad. See if you find a lingerie party ad. See if you find an ad that almost sounds like it's selling sex. And then there are those out there. Here's the other part of this. There are those out there that sell themselves as sex therapists. There are others that have massage parlors that are actually massage parlors that has nothing to do with sex, but they're listed as sex in some of these papers. You'd be shocked, some of the things that are listed in the adult section. Because you have to remember, Backpage has an adult section. Well, these are ads that basically you don't want on the forefront. And I'm not only talking about sex work. There are things that are sold like sex toys, lingerie, and many other things. DVDs, sex DVDs, which is not illegal to sell online. Or Blu-rays or VHSs. You can find them on eBay also. But see, the thing about it is, this is just what there are those who just want to shut everything down and say, well, we're trying to save the children. We're trying to protect women. We're trying to protect against human trafficking. But you're not doing it. You know why I know you're not doing it? Well, you've seen my stories on here about what's going on in Roosevelt Avenue in Queens. Where's the NYPD? Where are the feds when it comes to these groups? We have women from Spanish-speaking countries. We have women from China and Asia that are being marketed on the streets in broad daylight and at night. And we're talking about a neighborhood that is high traffic. Think, if you're familiar with New York City, think of Herald Square, okay? Near Macy's, you know, you see it on the Thanksgiving Day parade. Think about hookers being on, you know, sex workers being on the corner, near the stores, near buildings on there, throughout there. And these sex workers are illegals. These are human trafficking. Okay, they were brought here specifically for sex. And a lot of them are underage. You know, these are the situations that's going on. We have a migrant crisis going on right now throughout the country, especially in places like New York. And guess what? Some of those girls, some of those women are being sold as sex. The other half of it, especially the kids, are being put into factories. They're being used as drug mules. The list goes on and on and on. And before you say, well, they can't be using it. We have child worker rights in this country. Yes, and a lot of them are being re-looked at by politicians. Some of them have already been changed. And some companies don't even care. They hired the kids. They put them into the factories to clean up messes that they shouldn't even be doing. It's not their job to be doing this at that age. What they're supposed to be is in school, learning and education, reading, writing, arithmetic, getting themselves an education. Not being in a factory, not handing out flyers for illegal prostitutes. Our authorities are doing nothing to the situation. They may arrest every once in a while, but those people are back in business within 24 to 48 hours. Doesn't take that long. And then, of course, they condemned the landlords. They said, well, they shouldn't be renting out. If the landlord says, hey, listen, you want to rent out this thing? What are you going to rent it for? Well, I'm a doctor. I'm this. I'm that. I'm selling videos. You know, they could go back and look, you know, and if they have a clean bill of health, which this happens, that there are those who, and this happens with a lot of the illegal pot shops in New York City. Someone goes over there and does a background check. They hire somebody. They pay somebody to get the lease with a clean bill of health. And they pay them off. And then they go in and take over the place. And they don't use, you know, they may use them 2, 3, 4, 5 more times. And then they're finished with them because they know if they're shut down, they can't use them again, that they'll show up on there. There's plenty of people out there that will take money for that reason. So tell me in the comments below your thoughts about this. You know, Backpage has been in the news for quite some time now. We haven't discussed this. This is the first time we're discussing about it. And, you know, the case killed somebody. They committed suicide because of this. And knowing one of the people who helped build Backpage was one of the people that was running the Village Voice of late. You know, Village Voice was a great newspaper. You know, there are many people that wrote articles. This was our neighborhood. You know, it said what was going on, what was on their mind, what was in the movie theaters, what was a great place to go eat. You know, what was going on with the politics in the city of New York and around the country. And yes, they had ads. Yes, they had sex ads. Like I said, there needs to be a change as far as policies when it comes to sex work. Legalizing it, It's not like the marijuana industry. Legalizing it puts a lot of the traffickers out of business because we were able to narrow down and license these men and women, and basically we know where the money's going to, because they're going to have to fill out taxes. That's the thing that they don't want to do. Fill out tax sheets to let the government know, how much they made, how much, they've lost. And you say, well, they could cheat that too. The old Joker says,
I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no, thank you.
So let me know in the comments. Remember, stay strong, question everything, question, what's going on, and be sure to get out and vote and let them know that you are not going to take this anymore. Until next time, we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching. Before you go, please comment, like, and share this video. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe as this helps the reach of our channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have that ability to help support this and many other channels. Especially now more than ever since the passing of a new law in the United Kingdom that will diminish the reach of many channels and affect our advertisers. If you wish to help grow this channel by financial support, you have two ways. There are two links in the description below. The first will send you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will send you to our gear store where you can purchase t-shirt, mugs, and other specialty items. Any additional discounts will be listed on the main page. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.